Welcome to our channel, A Person Life Cycle. The lessons behind money, discipline, independence, and long-term thinking. When people look at wealthy families, they often see the cars, houses, businesses, and comfortable lifestyles. But one of the most interesting questions is not how wealthy parents spend money. It is how they teach their children to think about money, work, opportunity, and responsibility. There is no single way that wealthy families raise children, and being wealthy does not automatically make someone a good parent. However, some recurring principles appear in discussions among affluent families and financial educators. Teaching financial literacy early, encouraging independence, connecting effort with results, delaying gratification, and treating wealth as a responsibility rather than simply a source of consumption. Chapter 1. They teach children that money is a tool. One important lesson is that money is not the ultimate goal. Instead of simply saying, "You need to make a lot of money," parents can teach children to ask, "Where does money come from? How is money earned? What makes something valuable? What is the difference between a need and a want? How should money be saved? How can money be invested? How can money be used to help others?" This changes the child's relationship with money. A child who only sees money as something that buys toys may grow up believing that wealth is about consumption. A child who understands money as a resource begins to see it differently. Money can provide security. Money can create opportunities. Money can buy time. Money can fund education. Money can support a business. And money can help other people. Research from the OECD supports the importance of parents talking with children about practical money decisions. In PISA 2022 data, students who discussed their own spending decisions with parents weekly or monthly tended to have higher financial literacy scores. Although the OECD cautions that this is an association, not proof that the conversations caused the higher scores. The lesson: don't just give children money. Teach them how money works. Chapter 2. They teach delayed gratification. One of the greatest advantages a wealthy parent can give a child is not unlimited access to money. It is the ability to wait. Imagine a child wants a new expensive toy. A parent could immediately buy it. But another approach is, "You really want it. Let's think about whether it's worth it." The child learns to wait, compare alternatives, save, and make a decision. This teaches something deeper than budgeting. It teaches self-control. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child explains that executive function and self-regulation skills help people plan, focus, manage information, resist impulses, and work toward goals. These abilities develop through experience and practice rather than appearing automatically. This principle applies far beyond money. A child who learns to delay buying a toy may eventually learn to study before seeking entertainment, save before spending, exercise before becoming unhealthy, build skills before demanding success, and wait for long-term rewards instead of chasing immediate pleasure. The ability to wait can become a form of wealth itself. Chapter 3. They connect privilege with responsibility. One danger of growing up wealthy is believing, "I deserve this because my family has money." Some parents deliberately try to prevent this mindset. They may expect their children to clean their own rooms, participate in household responsibilities, work during their teenage years, understand where family wealth came from, experience failure, and contribute to the family or community. The goal isn't necessarily to make wealthy children live as if they are poor. The goal is to help them understand that comfort is not the same thing as entitlement. For example, a wealthy family might be able to buy a child a luxury car, but they might decide that the teenager first needs to demonstrate responsibility, maintain good habits, or contribute toward the cost. The message becomes, "We have resources, but that doesn't mean you are entitled to everything immediately." Some wealth advisors make a similar argument, emphasizing early financial education, connecting work with wealth, and encouraging philanthropy as ways of reducing entitlement. Chapter 4. They teach skills, not just academic knowledge. A traditional education can teach mathematics, science, history, and language. But financial success often requires another collection of skills: communication, negotiation, decision-making, problem-solving, leadership, networking, financial literacy, entrepreneurial thinking. Some affluent parents therefore expose their children to real-world situations. For example, a teenager might help with a family business. They might learn how a company makes money. They might compare prices. They might create a simple budget. They might learn how investing works. They might discuss why a business succeeds or fails. They are not simply being told about these concepts. They are experiencing them. This matters because financial literacy isn't merely knowing financial vocabulary. The OECD defines financial literacy as knowledge and understanding of financial concepts and risks combined with the skills and attitudes needed to make effective decisions. Chapter 5. They teach children to think long-term. Another important difference is the time horizon. Many people think about, what can I buy today? Long-term thinkers ask, what will this decision produce 5, 10, or 20 years from now? For example, a child receives $1,000. There are several possibilities. They could spend all of it. They could save it. They could invest some of it. They could use some of it to learn a valuable skill. Or they could divide it among spending, saving, investing, and giving. The important lesson isn't necessarily which option they choose. It is learning to think about consequences. This way of thinking can eventually be applied to education, careers, relationships, health, and business. Harvard's research on executive function similarly emphasizes planning, prioritizing, controlling impulses, and working toward goals as important skills for navigating life. Chapter 6. They teach the difference between income and wealth. This is one of the most important financial lessons. A person can earn a high income and still become financially unstable. Another person may have a moderate income, but steadily build assets and financial security. So children can learn the difference between income, money coming in; expenses, money going out; savings, money kept for future needs; assets, things that can have economic value; liabilities, financial obligations; investments, resources put to work with the expectation of future returns. The deeper lesson is, earning money is only one part of building wealth. What you do with the money after earning it matters too. Chapter 7. They let children experience failure. This may sound strange. If parents have enough money to solve almost every problem, why not solve them? Because constantly removing problems can prevent children from learning how to solve problems themselves. A child who forgets something might be allowed to experience the consequence. A teenager who spends all their allowance might have to wait until the next allowance. A young adult who chooses a poor financial decision might be expected to learn from it rather than immediately receiving another bailout. The lesson is not, let your child suffer. The lesson is, don't automatically remove every consequence. Children develop important self-management abilities through practice and feedback. Chapter 8. They teach that wealth can have a purpose. The final lesson may be the most meaningful. Wealth can be used only for personal comfort, or it can become a tool for something larger. Some wealthy families teach their children about charitable giving, volunteering, helping relatives, supporting education, creating jobs, funding causes, and contributing to their communities. The child begins to understand. Having more gives me more responsibility, not just more privilege. This changes the definition of success. Success is no longer simply, how much do I own? It becomes, what can I build? Who can I help? What can I contribute? The bigger lesson. The most valuable thing wealthy parents can give their children may not be an inheritance. It may be a mindset. A child who inherits millions but doesn't understand responsibility can eventually lose everything. A child who learns how to create value, manage money, control impulses, solve problems, and think long-term has something much more powerful: the ability to create and preserve value. That is why financial education should not begin when a child receives their first large inheritance. It can begin with something much smaller: a pocket of money, A simple purchase, a savings goal, a household responsibility, a conversation about needs and wants, a small mistake, a lesson about patience. These ordinary experiences can become the foundation for extraordinary financial habits. Final message. Perhaps the biggest lesson is this. Don't teach your children to depend on your wealth. Teach them how to create value without depending on it. Don't simply give them money. Teach them how to manage it. Don't eliminate every difficulty. Teach them how to overcome difficulty. Don't focus only on making them successful. Teach them how to become responsible, capable, independent human beings. Because the greatest inheritance may not be the money you leave behind. It may be the person you help your child become. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may benefit from these lessons. Remember, true wealth is not only what you inherit, but what you learn, build, and pass on.